Hello, I'm John Bachman. Ahead today on Newsmax Now.
And of course, recently we've heard inexcusable political rhetoric against Muslim Americans that has no place in our country.
President Obama makes his first trip to a U.S. mosque today in Baltimore, and he takes a shot at Republicans and frontrunner Donald Trump. But is anyone listening? The president's mosque trip comes as American police chiefs make a plea to Congress for more help trying to deal with radicalized terrorists. Ron Hosko, the former assistant director of the FBI, and Tom Ruskin, a former New York City police detective, join us for a dose of reality and what American police are really facing today. And more dropouts announced. Rand Paul and Rick Santorum headed for the exit doors as well. We'll have your comments about the candidates we lost this week. This is Newsmax Now. All right, talk about all those stories. Bear with us. We've got a lot to get to today, and we're being joined right now by former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, who's joining us on the phone from New Hampshire. J.D. Hayworth sitting alongside me for this interview as well. Governor Bush, it's great to have you with us.
Fantastic to be with you guys.
All right, I'm going to toss it over to J.D. now for our first question.
And Jeb, let's talk about the news of the day. The president visiting that mosque in Baltimore. Among the things he said, he claimed Republicans are creating divisions with America's Muslims, and that Republicans are playing upon people's fears. Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I applaud the fact that he went to a mosque. It's year 8. It's kind of a afterthought, I think. But we're a country of great diversity, and the great majority of Muslims are American citizens that love this country as much as you and I do, JD. So I think it's fine that he went. And he always figures out ways to blame Republicans for everything, so I'm not surprised about that. I do think that that we need to be cognizant of the fact that in order to deal with the threats of Islamic terrorism, it's going to require the support of the Muslim world. And you don't do that by saying you're going to ban all Muslims entering the country. That's not an appropriate response to the challenge we face. A much more targeted, incisive approach to it, which is a strategy to destroy ISIS in the caliphate in which they exist, is the better approach. And I've laid out that detailed plan that has garnered the support of a lot of people that understand what's necessary for us to win that fight.
Governor John Bachman here. You finished in Iowa with about 3% of the vote, but a new Harper poll in New Hampshire has you at about 14%, leading the field behind Donald Trump. You're in second place. Why are we seeing this big jump for you and your supporters in the Granite State?
Well, we have a great organization, lots of volunteers. I've campaigned a lot up here. I campaigned in Iowa as well. We're running a national campaign, but I've spent more time here. And the message of someone with proven results seems to resonate. These are practical people that want practical solutions, conservative ones, of course, to the challenges we face. And the town hall meeting format is a perfect way to campaign for me. I enjoy it a lot. And yeah, I'm gratified that we're in second place in that poll, and most polls show us either second or third. And I'm excited about where we stand in this race. New Hampshire has a unique ability to reset the race, and I think they will.
Jeb, let me get to a question that is both personal and political. Marco Rubio and you, it's an interesting relationship. You're friends. You both share conservative values. Why would a New Hampshire voter, or why should a New Hampshire voter pull the lever for Jeb Bush instead of Marco Rubio?
Great question. And look, he's a gifted politician. He's been in political life since he was 26, and he knows how to campaign. He's a good politician. But we need a leader as President of the United States, someone with a proven record. I have 32 years of experience in the private sector. You learn a lot when you start a business and build it up. I've had 8 years as the most successful conservative reformer in our state's history, certainly, and certainly one of the governors that's in the last 20 or 30 years that people look to as the most successful. So I have a record. It distinguishes me from Marco Rubio, who can't claim that he has a record to do anything. He can talk about what he will do, but Barack Obama got elected saying what he would do, and it turns out he didn't do it, and he didn't have the leadership skills to do any of it. We need someone with a proven record, I think, to fix the mess in Washington, D.C. That's the story I tell, and I do it with respect to the other candidates, and certainly respect to Marco Rubio, who is a gifted person. But you need someone with a steady hand that can make tough decisions and has a proven record to have done it in the past.
Governor Bush, let's talk about Ted Cruz a little bit. He's trying to spin that momentum from Iowa into a better finish in New Hampshire than a lot of people are expecting. But could you name one thing that bothers you the most about Ted Cruz, either on a personal or policy level? What would that one thing be?
Yeah, I don't have any gripes about Ted Cruz. I think he's a gifted politician as well, and I certainly don't have any personal problems with him. But the same principle applies with him as it does with Marco Rubio. What has he done in the past that would suggest he could make a tough decision, that he could forge consensus, that he could stand his ground, that it wasn't about him? That's the challenge. That's what voters in New Hampshire want to hear is, what's your record? What have you done? What's your life experience? And these are two gifted politicians that have been their entire adult life focused on their own ambitions rather than dealing with 8 hurricanes and 4 tropical storms, which I got to do, or creating the first, the second, and the third statewide voucher programs, which occurred in Florida. I cut taxes $19 billion in 8 years. They called me Veto Corleone because I brought budget discipline using the line item veto power. We had 8 surpluses, 8 balanced budgets. We were one of 2 states to go to a AAA bond rating. I got a story to tell, and it's a story of consistently applying conservative principles and never wavering and generating results. So no disrespect to backbench United States senators, no disrespect, because they are gifted. Look, I would support them if they're the nominee, but I think we need a nominee to go up against Hillary Clinton that has a proven record, because she's going to come at whoever our nominee is with a vengeance.
Of course, Jeb, Monday night, Ted Cruz won in Iowa by winning among evangelicals. Faith, obviously an important factor. You have Senator Cruz, Senator Rubio, heck, even Donald Trump talking about the Bible. How will your own faith influence your policies as president?
Well, my faith informs everything about me, about my life. I am comforted by my faith. It gives me a serenity to make decisions. I pray before I have to make decisions. It's hugely important. It informs my belief that life is a gift from God, that we're all here for a purpose, that it's divinely inspired, and that we should protect life from beginning to end. And so it is an important part of my life. And as governor of the state of Florida, once again, I had a chance to act on it, not just talk about it. And I did it on behalf of the most vulnerable in our society, on behalf of the unborn, on behalf of frail elders. It's something that is really important to me.
And considering your position as pro-life, as President of the United States, will you end Planned Parenthood funding from our government?
I will. And it can be done by executive action, by the way. President Reagan used his authority to do it, and it was contested in the courts, and he won. So the precedent has been established. This defunding can be done the way I did it in Tallahassee, which is you can do it by executive action. I vetoed the line item in the budget as well, but that's what we need to do. It is look, there's ways to support women's health issues without supporting an organization that participates in about a third of all the abortions that take place in this country.
All right, let's turn our attention to Donald Trump, if we could, just for a second, Governor. He used some expletives last night to describe how he would deal with ISIS. And on Twitter today, he said Ted Cruz stole the Iowa election. What is your take on Mr. Trump's language, his tone, his invective in this campaign in particular?
I'm tired of it. I don't think it's a sign of strength. I think it's a sign of deep insecurity when he uses profanity. I mean, they're children watching this stuff. I find it offensive when he insults the disabled, women, Hispanics, POWs, calling them losers because they got caught. This is disgusting. And it's not a sign of leadership. It's certainly not a sign of strength. This notion that you just raise the volume of your voice and say ugly things, that makes you strong. Wow. That's just totally the opposite. It's a sign of deep insecurity and weakness. And our next president needs to be strong and have fortitude and inspire people and lead this country. And you don't do it by shouting out expletives.
Jeb, obviously conservatives want a candidate that can win in November, and it looks like they have to beat Hillary. Let's talk about her for a second. How serious do you believe this email problem to be, and why would you be victorious in November?
Well, as it relates to me, I have the most conservative record of results of anybody on the stage. no one matches it. As I said, governors get to lead. They make tough decisions. They can forge consensus. They can create strategies. And Chris Christie and John Kasich are good, solid people. But I have the most accomplished record as a conservative in this race. As it relates to Hillary Clinton, I think this email scandal is truly remarkable, and I think it is could be her downfall. I'm not a lawyer. I don't follow how all this will play out, but she lied to the American people, and it required a subpoena for us to find out that she was using a private server where confidential and classified information went over a private server because it was more convenient for her in her pursuit of her personal ambitions at the expense of national security. I don't know what the legality is, but that certainly is beyond improper. And then she misled the American people. She can't be trusted. And if you can't trust the President of the United States, then how can he lead or she lead? You can't. You have to have a trust with the American people, or you'll be completely ineffective.
All right, well, Governor, we got to wrap it up here.
Benghazi as well.
We got to wrap it up here. I want to get a prediction from you, though, in the last 30 seconds we have. Do you beat Donald Trump in New Hampshire on Tuesday?
I have no idea about that, but I'm going to work my heart out. I can promise you that.
All right, we know you will. Governor Bush, thanks so much for being with us. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right, JD, thanks for joining us as
You
well.
bet. Absolutely.
Well, more here on Newsmax Now. When we come right back, Miranda's going to be back. We're going to talk more about President Obama's visit to that mosque today, while police chiefs in this country are trying to deal with more threats from radical terrorists. What do Ron Hosco and Tom Ruskin think about that? Plus, we'll talk a little bit more about Marco Rubio and his gauntlet he has to run in New Hampshire. Newsmax Now is coming back with more after this.